how are you guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to yet another episode of building a 650 wheel horsepower Honda D16 engine. This episode we're going to talk everything about suspension, coilovers, why do we use them, how to set them up, how to install them. We'll do an installation video, and of course I'll tell you what I chose for this build, why, cost and all that. But first, let's have a word from the people that make this happen. iShortyTech Engineering, located in Kissimmee, Florida. They specialize in Honda and Acura tuning, from a simple bolt-on to a full race engine or even a private dyno session. Chris and his crew could handle it all. Civic EE and EF of Texas sell parts, post photos, get help. Go join their Facebook club. You guys are not going to regret it. So, now that we've heard from our sponsors, let's talk about, in this case, coilovers. Why do we use coilovers? A lot of people tend to use coilovers for looks, lowering their vehicle, basically fit, have a little better performance. There's different types of coilovers, okay? There's coilovers for street use. Basically, you're gonna have a nice ride on them, okay? There's coilovers for drag racing, which is what we're gonna be installing right now, and there's coilovers for autocross, road racing, whatever, there's coilovers for off-road. There's a lot of variations. Today we're gonna talk about drag coilovers. Why do we use them? Very simple. A drag coilover is going to give you, in most cases, two different spring rates. A spring rate for the rear, spring rate for the front. In front wheel drive applications, you want to put a lot of the load of the car in the front, meaning you're going to have a heavier spring rate on the back than what you have in the front. Okay, in this case, and let me jump straight to my choice of coilover. I chose for this setup a Blox drag setup, the Blox Pro drag setup, which is this that we have right here. Okay, so this setup is gonna have a 12K load, or a 12K spring on the front and an 18K spring on the rear. Okay, now a lot of you might be thinking you're going to be using Blox drag suspension on a CRX. I thought they were made for 92, 95 Civics. It's very simple, guys. The springs, the coilover anywhere from 88 to 2000 Civics, they're the same. What's going to change? Well, they're technically the same. In my application, all I have to do to install the 92, 95 coilovers on my CRX is going to be, I had to put 92, 95 forks, okay, to make them fit, because the only thing that will change from these is going to be the fork. The mounting point is going to be a lot thicker, and I've already installed the the passenger side, just so I could get this one out and show you before the video. So basically this is the only thing that's going to change. Look at the mounting points from the factory one, or the CRX one, because this is not a factory, this is a KYB shock. So look at the mounting point there versus look at the mounting point here. The fork for the 92, 95 is going to be a little bit bigger, so that's all you need to do. Everything else bolts into place. Now for you 96 2000 guys, To install these, you are gonna need a washer kit that actually, in my case, in the case of this build, it actually came with it. So basically, that's all you have to do, and the washer kit goes on top of the coilover, something like what I have here. Okay, 92-95 Blox drag race is going to fit anything from 88 to 2000. It might even fit you guys over you know, 2001, 2002 guys. So couple of things before going into installation. Whenever you install coilovers, remember, the reason we install coilovers is we could set the preload for the coilovers. So how do you set the preload? Basically, you wanna, of course I'm doing this by hand, but it comes with the key for it. You just wanna tighten this as much as you can manually. And what is preload? The preload is you want to have the spring already compressed when you're launching. Okay, so once you have the spring a little bit compressed, just hold it into place. Now another little trick you want to do, and I can't stress this enough because it's going to save you a lot of time in the long run whenever you're tuning your suspension, is set up your coilover to the same height on both sides, because if not, you're gonna have a side that's gonna be a lot higher than the other one. So I've already done this with mine. What I did in my case is I just measured the spacing between the gap, you know, the spacing between the two locks. Okay, now the rule for setting your preload is about, you want a 2mm a preload from the coilover itself. So basically, if you take your adjusting wrench, let me get it real quick, give me just a second. So sorry about that. Basically this is the extra kit. These are the washers for the spacers for the 96 to 2000 Civic. Okay, so rule of thumb is when you're adjusting your preload, all you gotta do is, once again, and I'm gonna have to redo this one because I've started messing with it with the video. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna hand tight your coilover as much as you can. Then the wrench is about the correct size that you want preload. You're just gonna set it, you're gonna lock this one, just release it a little bit so you could twist it, right? And then with this tool, you're gonna tighten enough of your coilover so you're gonna tighten it enough, and sorry this is giving me a little bit of issues. There you go. So you're gonna tighten it enough that you could actually fit the wrench in between the adjuster and your locking. Okay, so that fits about fair, then you lock. Okay, that should be your initial preload for a coilover. Then of course, remember this one, you just want to twist it so it could be the same exact height as your, in this case this is going to be my driver's side. I've already installed the passenger side, so they could be just about the same. Now that we know that, remember, there's a lot of options out there. I cannot tell you what's best or what's what's worse. For a race application, a quality coilover could run you $2,000. These Every manufacturer out there, and even IPG, which they were a lot of help when I was doing the research that I was doing for my coilovers. They actually, and I've had many of conversations with them, bought a couple of parts from them. They actually used them in their naturally aspirated drag car, or they used to use them. I don't know what they're using now, but they wrote an article in which they compared, they didn't mention what they were using before, but knowing them, it was a quality part too. They compare their previous coilover, which was, if I'm not mistaken, 5 and 8 on the spring rate. They compared them to the Blox Drag Pro, and they were able to actually shave about 0.2 of a second on their quarter-mile time, and they were actually able to change, and the exact numbers I might be off, but they were able to change to lower their 60 times, which is basically the race right there, your launch. They were able to shave their 60 time from 1.63 to 1.61, which on a car that fast, that is a lot. So the quality of the product is great. Like I said, they run about 680, 720 from website to website. I was actually able to buy these as an open box manufacturer that I use for $589. Okay, it was a return, so the box was open. The coilovers were still in the bag. I just showed you that I opened my key. So it was a heck of a deal, so I went ahead and bought them. And you know, I'm gonna be showing you the installation right now. So if you give me a second to move everything, we'll do installation right now. So okay, installation of the coilover is very straightforward, very easy, because everything is already set up for you. Okay, so first thing you got to do is, in this case, this KYBs that this thing has, that were factory replacements, so they have a they already have a bracket in them for your factory brake line, for your brake line. So you want to take that off. Okay, after that, I had already, remember I did the traction bar, so I had already loosened my fork out, because I had to clear a little bit of space so I could tighten up the traction bar. So I had already done that. If I wasn't doing back-to-back videos and I was gonna run the vehicle, I would have set up everything back. I would have actually loosened the top of the fork before the bottom, but I've already have the bottom out. So all you need for that, all you actually need to loosen that one, it's a 14. Let me see what I have, my 14. Here you go. So all you need to do that one, it's a 14, and just, you see, it makes it a little bit a little bit harder to loosen it when the lower part of the fork has been already loosened. So once you already done that, and actually, like I said, I didn't need it to do much. All you're gonna do is you're gonna loosen the 2 screws from the top of the shock. So basically, all you're gonna do is come up here, right, and you're gonna loosen these 2, which is very, very, very straightforward. Let me put the camera down so I can loosen them. Okay, so now that we've loosened the top part, the reason I said let's loose this one, the top one of the fork, before is because it's a lot easier to take the strut in 2 pieces. But unfortunately this one, I guess, is seized in there. So what I'm gonna do is just force it out. You know, try to manhandle it a little bit and get it out. So bear with me a second. And what I've actually done in previous cases is, if I have a friend or something out here helping me, just basically have them come, you know, put their foot in the brake caliper and push down, and that's the easiest way of getting them down. Unfortunately, it's like 3 in the morning right now. I was actually out playing softball, but I decided I wanted to do this today because I'm gonna be out of town for a little bit, so I wanted to get you this video installation before I left. So I bet you that was painful to see, but you know, that only tells you we're doing this for real. We're not, you know, we're doing it in-house. No help, you know, no help, no nothing. This is just, you know, one-man operation. Sometimes I get friends to come in and help, but that's about it. So let me get my coilover real quick. It rolled all the way to the end. So now that you have this, all you have to do is find the proper mounting point, and that's it. So once you set it up like this, you see how easy it would have been to take out if that one would have cooperated, but unfortunately it didn't. So now that we have the fork, the 92, remember this is a 92-95 Civic fork. Now that you have it, you have the coilover. We're gonna go again to the top and actually get the 2 screws in position. So you're gonna get the top hat in position, and all you have to do is hold it a little bit And you don't want to tie everything until everything is into place. So let me tie these two real quick. Give me just a second. Okay, so now that we tighten up a little bit, on top you just want to bring your floor jack, you know, set it up, and I'm trying to do this as much so the camera could see it. But you're just gonna hold it there and go up now. So basically that's going to be your floor jack positioning. When you're putting the floor jack, you just want to make sure it's going into the fork. There you go. Once it goes into the fork, everything's set up. Now all you have to do is bring your wrench again and tighten everything up. So now in my case, like I said, I should be pretty even in the ride height. Simple because I just measured before. What I use my, after I set my preload, I use a measuring tape and got them as close as in the gap as I want it. It's not gonna come perfect the first time, but as long as you're fairly close, it'll be perfect. So now guys, all we need to do is set up, you know, make sure everything is tight. You don't have a mounting point for your brake line, so I'm just gonna take all this off and, you know, just find a spot that I could what I usually do is I take the bracket off, turn it around, and use one of these holes out here, or make a hole to actually hold it into place. It's not gonna rub into anything, so that's not a big problem, and most likely I'm gonna do stainless steel lines later on. Okay, so I've shown you how to preload your coilovers, how to set the height, and how to install them. You know, a perfect combination, a coilover, a suspension is all about taste. Okay, on a street vehicle you want as much ride comfort as you want. You do want to improve your traction, of course, but you also, you know, if you're driving the vehicle to the meet, if you're driving the vehicle, you know, if you're doing car club ride-alongs or cruises and whatsoever, you do want to be comfortable. So it's all about taste. Now, when you when you are going to be doing a drag suspension, something like that, I feel like it's all about trying to put as much load and in the front of the vehicle as you can. Remember, front wheel drive vehicles, that's their big problems, especially hatchbacks, something, you know, like CRXs, hatchback Civics, which after they're gutted out, you take all the AC and all that stuff, they're gonna be, you know, they're gonna weigh next to nothing. So the suspension that I chose, which was the Blox drag rate, the Blox Drag Pro, 18 on the back, which is, like I said, it's gonna push as much force into the front. Something to remember: we installed the drag bar, right? We installed the front suspension. I haven't done anything with the back just yet. I'm gonna do a separate video. Reason I'm doing this is the person, I guess, owned the vehicle before me, either had a better shell than this one, or you know, a better shell, and he used the rear brake setup for that other setup, that other chassis that he had. It really doesn't bother me, because we're gonna be doing staging brake on it. So, you know, I'll find a conversion and do it and install it and do that. So for instance, because of that, I'm not gonna install the rear suspension until I get that. I try to do the video as fast and as easy as you know, as convenient as possible. Reason being is, you know, take off the fork, 2 screws on the top, move it. You notice that the passenger side gave me a lot of issues, because once again, I don't know how long those were there. There were seats that were fused to each other. So you see that it gave me a lot of issues. The driver's side, it was very easy. So if you could do the passenger side, you could do the driver's side. That's not a big issue. This, you know, whole setup, taking everything, is about 6 screws, and the difference is astronomical. Now, when you talk about drag suspensions, there's many choices. Like I mentioned before, you could spend $3-4 grand on a suspension. At $589, which is what I paid for mine, and mind you, mine was an open box item. I guess it was something that that somebody bought and returned. Everything was sealed. They might have ordered it wrong. Everything was sealed. Everything was in their boxes. It's perfect. You know, everything was perfect. I showed you where my alignment tools came in, or my sizing tools came in, and the washers for when you're gonna use it for a 96 2000 model, that was sealed. So, you know, it was just a great find for me. Expect to spend somewhere in the high 6s, low 700s for a suspension. And, you know, now remember, and I can't stress this enough, you're working with your suspension. We install a drag, we install a traction bar, we installed coilovers, and now we're gonna install, my next video, I'm gonna be actually deleting my sway bar and installing a brace back there, which is, and I noticed when I posted the traction bar video that I got a lot of comments on people stating that the only good traction bar was innovative, because it has a solid mount to the control arm. I'm gonna be installing a brace from the traction bar, from the control arm towards the chassis of the vehicle, which is going to help, or which is to almost delete that issue that people are having. It's a great solution. They are custom made by a buddy of mine, and you know, they work great. So that's gonna be the next video. Hopefully you like this one. I know it was a little bit quick. Hopefully you like this one. Please guys, hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notifications, like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram. Everything in this build is going to be explained to the fullest of my capabilities. It's gonna take a little bit, but hey, by now I've already decided I'm not gonna force the vehicle to hit any events this season. So, you know, next year we'll be hitting every event we could find. So, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube, like us on Instagram, and remember, September the 22nd, we're gonna be doing the drawing for the Honda, the OBD1 computer with the Honda board on it. So that's gonna be something nice for you guys, and we're gonna continue doing giveaways. So stay tuned, subscribe, hit the notifications, and on to the next one, guys. Thank you.